Welcome to our weekly show for the National Association of Independent Medical Practices. You can find us at NAIMP.org. NAIMP is an organization focused on helping independent medical practices become more successful by providing innovative discussions, networking with like-minded professionals, and opportunities for growth, education, and increased revenue. Check out our website today at naimp.org.
Hello, and welcome to today's podcast. I'm Shirley Kress-Dudley, your host with NAIMP. And today, it's a pleasure to have Dr. Christopher Burton as our guest speaker. Dr. Christopher Burton specializes in helping overwhelmed and frustrated physicians understand the business of medicine so that they can have more time, more money, and more freedom to enjoy the things that matter most to them. Dr. Burton provides one-on-one and group coaching for healthcare professionals who want to improve their leadership skills and enjoy greater success in their practice. He is the author of 2 ebooks, Personal Finance for Physicians and Marketing Your Medical Practice, and creator of the recently launched website physiciancoach.guru, where physicians can find additional information that will help them boost their medical career. Through his involvement in local, state, and national medical organizations, Dr. Burton has provided outstanding leadership in the healthcare community. He currently serves as chair of the Young Physicians section for the Florida Medical Association and president of the Escambia County Medical Society. He has brought a wealth of knowledge and broad experience to all of his leadership positions. And it's a pleasure to have Dr. Burton with us today. I know he's traveling and speaking in Atlanta, but his home is Pensacola, Florida. So we'd like to welcome Dr. Burton. The topic today is alternate streams of income.
Thank you, Shirley. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm also board certified in physical medicine and rehabilitation, and just so everyone knows, my experience has come primarily from outpatient musculoskeletal medicine in a private practice setting. So today I want to talk about the additional streams of income that I've used in my practice over the years. See, I've seen a lot of practices struggling right now under the declining reimbursement that's plagued physicians over the last decade. We face tighter margins as costs also continue to rise. Unfortunately, there's still a lot of short-sighted people out there who want to cut doctors' pay even more, as if that's the only problem with our healthcare system. As physicians, we must find ways to add additional streams of income to our practice in order not only to survive financially, but hopefully thrive. We certainly can't depend on E&M codes anymore for bringing in significant cash flow. By the time I paid for staffing, billing, and other overhead expenses, I found that there was very little margin left on E&M visits for my practice. Because of this low margin, many other practices rely on trying to see a high volume of patients each day, but that's really not a good solution. After all, we can only see so many patients in a day before eventually we just max out on productivity and income. Procedures also have better return for our time, but many specialties have seen over the last few years that they can also have a sharp cut at any time by the payer. Like E&M codes, there's a limit to how many procedures you can do in a day. I performed EMG and nerve conduction studies, which is where I made most of my profit at the end of the year. Unfortunately, a few years ago, I, along with everyone else who was doing electrodiagnostic studies, faced a sudden sharp decline in reimbursement. The government decided they were just going to slash Medicare allowable by 50 to 70% each study, which had a corresponding effect on my take-home pay. It was really an eye-opening experience. That's when I decided I needed to look at additional streams of income more seriously. I was already doing some in-office retail of a few items, but it wasn't something I thought much about. I simply had it there for patient convenience and really wasn't intentional about building it as part of my practice. When faced with losing such a significant chunk of my take-home pay, though, I knew it was time to see where I could make up for some of that loss. So that's when I decided to look more closely at retail in the office. As I began doing my due diligence and researching different options, I spoke with my partner about it. I was really surprised to find that he really wasn't interested in adding retail or any other additional stream of income to the practice for that matter. And you may run into this as well, since there still are a lot of physicians out there who aren't comfortable expanding outside of the traditional model of medical practice. But don't let that deter you, as I started to quickly see the rewards are well worth the effort. And when starting out, you got to find products that are a good fit for you and your practice. For example, my specialty is in musculoskeletal medicine, so I kept things like carpal tunnel splints, tennis elbow straps, ankle braces, and heating pads around for patients, because that's commonly what they would come in for complaining of. I knew that they were going to end up going to a pharmacy or to another store to get those items after our visit anyway, so I figured it made sense to keep them in stock. It really turned out to be a win-win, since my patients enjoyed the convenience of having what they needed right there in the office, and I was able to increase my collections at the time of the visit. So braces and other types of equipment were the best fit for me when I started out, and it made perfect sense for my patients and was in line with the conditions I treated. Now, if equipment and wearable items aren't helpful to your practice, or you don't see a lot of those kinds of conditions, there are other options. In fact, the next stream of income I added to my practice was supplements. Vitamins and nutritional supplements are a multi-billion-dollar industry. However, there's a lot of unethical companies out there making false claims and selling products that aren't even safe. Now, to be perfectly honest, I initially had mixed feelings about offering vitamins or supplements in my office. I didn't want to promote products I wasn't sure about. At first, I would just tell patients what I read from the literature about things like glucosamine, calcium, and turmeric, for example, and let them find it on their own. But the more and more my patients came in with bottles of various substances asking me for my opinion, and I knew it was time for me to take my head out of the sand. If my patients were using the supplements, I needed to know about which brands were safe and effective. So I actually took over 3 months researching different companies and different products before settling on one that was only available for resale through a physician's office. They were a good product with a good safety record. There was just one problem, though. Practicing in Florida, there were a lot of snowbirds that would come and go throughout the year. Some of my patients weren't able to come into the office to pick up their vitamins for months. So I had to find a company that would mail directly to the patients and allow them to order online. I'm actually on my 3rd company now. I found one that was a really good fit. They had their own farms where they grew their own organic ingredients, and they've never had a recall in 80 years of business. They also take online orders and deliver the supplements directly to my patients, so that was a wonderful thing for me. I really didn't want to have to manage large inventories, didn't want to have to worry about storage space or when items were going to expire. So I found supplements and vitamins to be a good source of additional income in my practice. But then I really wanted to stress that I wouldn't recommend it unless you're going to make sure you're offering quality products and know the indications for each of them. For example, I wouldn't stock or recommend to patients anything outside of my specialty. I mostly focus on things related to musculoskeletal system, like calcium and vitamin D for bone health, natural anti-inflammatories, glucosamine for arthritis, and other things like that. There's other things like multivitamins or melatonin for sleep, which were okay too. But I didn't stock things like, let's say, for prostate hypertrophy or hot flashes or liver cleanses, for example. You have to decide what you're comfortable with and how much you want to promote vitamins and supplements to your patients. The great news, though, is that you can have a piece of this multi-billion-dollar industry. See, depending on the company you use, your margins on each product can range from 20 to 50%. Let's say that on the conservative side, you sell 5 bottles of calcium supplements a day for $30 each, and you get a 50% margin. At the end of the day, you've put an extra $75 in your pocket. Well, it doesn't sound like much, but over a week, you end up having $375. Well, over a month, it can be about $1,500, and by the end of the year, you can have an additional $18,000 in profit, right? See, don't you think that an extra $18,000 that you didn't have to work very much for would be a pleasant addition? So there are physicians out there who are doing this on a regular basis. And when I said this was conservative, I wasn't kidding, because there are some physicians who are making 6 figures a year just on supplements and retail in their office. There are some of you who are employed physicians or work in large institutions, and you may not be able to do retail in your office. But there are still other ways you can add additional streams in your career. If you enjoy writing even a little bit, books are one of the best places to start adding to your income stream. With digital ebooks, it's easy for anyone to get started. They're relatively quick and easy, and they help you stand out from the crowd to establish yourself as both a leader and an authority in your niche. They introduce you to a new audience and potentially more patients, or they can tell your current patients more about what special services you offer. It can also be used as a tool to educate patients and potential patients about your specialty, a disease process, or a procedure that you perform. At their most basic, books just let people know what you know and position you as an expert in your field. And you wouldn't want to be, and really, who wouldn't want to be seen as a leader in their field and in their community? No matter what your practice environment is, you can still benefit from the perceived prestige of being an author. Imagine if you're applying for a new position, for example. Wouldn't having published author be a nice addition to your CV? I guarantee it'll stand out from the crowd because most people still think writing a book is just too much work. And from a patient standpoint, if you were choosing between doctors, wouldn't you want to choose the doctor who wrote a book on the subject? So aside from branding yourself as an expert in your field and positioning yourself for future opportunities, what we're here today to talk about is additional income, and books can be a good source of income. Depending on your topic and the size of your audience, selling books on your website or Amazon creates varying degrees of cash flow. And to be honest, it may not be a substantial amount at first, but it can contribute to an improved bottom line. Ebooks are by far the best option for cash flow because you don't have to pay for printing or shipping like you do with a hard copy. Also, you don't have to share profits with a publisher when you self-publish your own book, which can take a huge chunk out of your cash flow. Other benefits I enjoy about ebooks are that they're easier and faster to create. They are really easy to revise and update, so if I want to make a change or add a new chapter, that's not hard to do. And I don't have a stack of inventory to store and manage. Hard copy books do have some benefits, though, if you want to consider that option. People are still more likely to buy a hard copy book than they are to buy ebooks, and the hard copy books are harder for people to pirate your content. So you just have to decide which format best fits your needs and what do you want to use the book for. One of the most common questions I get when asked by aspiring authors is how long does the book need to be? Now, of course, there's no one right answer for everybody, but a good rule of thumb for ebooks is to aim for 10,000 to 20,000 words. If you still have a lot of great content left in you after that and want to write a larger book, that's okay too. If it's going to be a lot more than 20,000 words, I'd consider breaking it up into a series of books. When you're creating the book, you also don't need a ton of images or illustrations in your book either. Just a couple relevant figures can be enough. Do make sure you have a nice cover, though. You want your title and your name to be large and easy to read font so that it's visible even in a small thumbnail image like on Amazon. Pricing the book is another tough choice for most authors who self-publish. If you're just starting out, I recommend selling in the $4.99 to $9.99 range unless you have a large or highly technical book. You can always raise the price later, but it doesn't look good to your audience if you have to lower it. The formats that most people use are PDF, or if you're going to publish on Amazon, is the MOBI conversion, a MOBI file. When you're selling $10 ebooks on Amazon or on your website, you can still make a significant revenue stream, though. So imagine that in the next month you sold 100 ebooks at $10 a piece. So for very little outflow or expense, you just brought in $1,000 in profit to your bottom line that you didn't have to do much for. And that's not bad. But imagine that you sold 500 copies in a month. again at $10 a piece, that boosts your bank account by $5,000. And if you sustain that over a year, your potential income could be close to $60,000. Now, who wouldn't want to add $60,000 to their bottom line in a year? So now that I told you that you can make significant income on ebooks, I have to share my secret. I actually give away ebooks for free and some hard copy booklets quite often. See, I probably give away as many as I sell, and why would I do that? Well, it's really quite simple. See, the books act as a lead generator for me. My 6 Keys to Total Wellness ebook on my website, for example, it brings me potential patients and clients. They see the overview of my ideas and they want to learn more, so they contact me. They may want to have an office visit, or they may want me to do a presentation for their organization, which then leads me to another potential stream of revenue. Seminars and workshops are a great way to increase your income. Sometimes it comes directly through speaker fees, and other times it comes in the form of doing free events and then getting patients from those events, or selling books at the back of the room. Either way, speaking is a great way to get your name out there and boost your income. Depending on what group you're speaking to, you can get anything from a $500 gift card to $10,000 for an event. Yeah, there's practicing physicians who can command that kind of fee. As president of my county medical society, we actually brought in a speaker this year who gets $9,000 plus first-class travel for each event. See, professional speakers, though, they can get up into 6-figure range for an engagement or even more. But let's say you aren't ready to take your show on the road full-time yet, and you're only getting about $3,000 for a presentation. And let's say you do this about twice a month. That's pretty realistic. And it comes out to an additional $72,000 a year in additional income. Now, once you're known and start getting invitations across the country, you can start charging that $10,000 an event. And even if you only did one event a month at $10,000, you'd be getting $120,000 a year in additional income. But you can make even more offering something for sale at the event. So if you have a hard copy book, I always suggest that you ask the event organizer if you can sell copies at the back of the room afterwards. Selling just 50 copies of a $20 book at your event adds an extra $1,000 to whatever you made from your speaker fee. Doing events like seminars and workshops can also bolster your standing in the community and strengthen your brand. Just like being an author, being a speaker establishes you as an expert in your field. Early in my career, I took every opportunity to speak to groups who would potentially refer patients, whether it was work comp case managers, physical therapists, or anyone else. This really allowed me to let them know about my specialty, because physical medicine and rehabilitation isn't very well known. Let them know about my practice and the types of patients I wanted to see. These presentations revolved around things like carpal tunnel syndrome, back injuries, or car accidents, all of which I treated regularly in my practice. I've also enjoyed being a part of organized medicine for several years now and had the opportunity to talk with medical students, residents, and young physicians all across Florida. One of my favorite topics in organized medicine is leadership. I've participated in many leadership conferences myself and have had the privilege of working with the world's greatest leadership expert, John Maxwell, and being involved in teaching leadership allowed me to become president of my county medical society and chair for the Florida Medical Association's Young Physicians section. Speaking on a topic regularly demonstrated to others that I was knowledgeable and capable as a leader, so I was asked to fill those roles. You don't have to take the same path into leadership, but it's another good example of how learning the skill of speaking and presenting can serve you in promoting your career and your practice. In addition to speaking on topics in my specialty and to leadership, I've done conference calls around my ebooks as well, for example. One of them earlier this month I did was a 1-hour call on personal finance for physicians. Some of these teaching calls are also part of another stream of income that I find very beneficial, and that's virtual coaching or mastermind groups. Now, there are different areas you can coach someone around. Because of my interest in helping young physicians understand the business of medicine, I started coaching around the areas of leadership, personal finance, and marketing your practice. Well, I've coached also medical students and residents as they got started in their careers. This covered topics like mapping out a career path that they would like to achieve, preparing CVs and cover letters, and finding the right program or job for them. Again, like most of the other streams of income I talk about, I didn't start out coaching intentionally, though. In fact, it actually started with friends and colleagues that observed the success I was having, or who had read my ebook and asked me for advice on how they could do what I was doing. One example that's actually an area of personal finance where I had several colleagues who wanted to start investing in real estate. And they knew that I had rental properties, and they wanted to see how I went about getting involved in that. So we had several phone calls over the course of a few months as each of them bought their first investment property and got it ready to rent. After doing that a few times, I realized that I really enjoyed coaching physicians and helping them reach their career goals, their financial goals, and their life goals. So I started formalizing the content that I was coaching around and built separate programs for each of them. They range from a couple months for the career coaching for the young physicians and residents to year-long programs for those who want to do formal leadership training. If you have an area where you have a lot of knowledge or experience, then you already have something you can coach others around. The beauty of a coaching relationship is how simple it can be as well. My first coaching came from mentors in business. It started out where I would just buy them lunch and they would answer some questions and share their experience with me. Then as I progressed in my career, I actually had coaches for different areas of my life. And I've had coaches, speaking coaches, marketing coaches, and even a coaching coach. So they've all added significant value to my life, and I was happy with the things that they taught me because it would have taken me years to figure it out on my own. So while some people are surprised when I tell them that I've invested tens of thousands of dollars in my own coaches, I can assure you that the return on the investment has paid off tremendously. And once you see the powerful benefit of coaching yourself, it's easy to understand why people would pay you to coach them. Simply put, if you can save somebody time, make them more money, or if you can improve their quality of life, then you have a potential stream of income. Now, one of the things to consider is once you get a coaching client, how do you actually start initiating that relationship or that coaching process? There are several ways you can go about it, but I recommend starting with at least stage coaching, stating what you'll be coaching, how much it'll cost, and when, where, and how long it will of a period of time you'll meet. So for me, my favorite way to coach is virtually. That cuts down on travel time and costs and allows you to maximize the time you spend coaching. For example, I've even done coaching over lunch breaks. And I've done coaching when I've been traveling, for example, here to Atlanta to do speaking events. I can coach people all across the country without having to be physically present. I use a service called freeconferencing.com, and it allows me to have up to 1,000 people on the line at a time. And it is, as the name implies, free to use. There's other services out there that offer similar options you can check out, but I found that free conferencing was more stable and provided better voice quality than some of the competitors. If you're going to be doing one-on-one coaching, you don't need a conference line. But really, to me, the beauty of teaching and coaching is that you can teach multiple people at one time. I like small groups, maybe 5 to 25 participants. That allows me to teach more efficiently, and then everyone has the opportunity to learn from each other's questions or comments. What it also does for you as the coach is it multiplies your revenue stream exponentially. So let's say you charge $500 an hour for coaching. If you do that for one person, well, you made $500 an hour. That's not too bad. But if you do group coaching with 10 people, you're now making $5,000 an hour. That's quite a big difference, right? So even if you aren't comfortable charging that much starting out, the numbers can still be very impressive. Let's say you charge only $200 an hour. With 10 people, you've got $2,000. And with 100 people, you made $20,000 for just 1 hour coaching session. Even more incredible is that most coaching relationships last at least three months or more. And if you did just one call a week with those 100 people for 3 months, you have a potential revenue stream of $240,000. And another thing I like about coaching is there's almost no overhead, so all that money comes as profit. There are a few things to consider, though, when you decide if coaching is right for you. While the potential revenue is amazing, you do have to enjoy working with and teaching others for it to be successful. Along the way, you can offer additional content, worksheets or videos, for example, for your clients as a way of just adding a bonus to your program. Now, personally, I want to offer the greatest value and a higher quality of coaching, so I went and I did get certified as a coach. It isn't required, but if you want to promote your coaching at the highest level, then becoming a certified coach may actually be beneficial. Just remember, though, that it matters who you get certified by as well as what you learn. So there are additional income streams out there besides these that we've talked about. But these are the ones that I've personally used and I've made money from. I have sold braces and supplements in my office. I've received royalty checks from Amazon for ebooks. I have sold tickets to workshops and leadership events, and I've coached other physicians. All of these have added to my bottom line, and I know that they can do the same for you. If you'd like an outline of the discussion that we've had today on creating additional streams of income, I invite you to go to the website at physiciancoach.guru/NAIMP. Again, that's physiciancoach.guru, G-U-R-U, /NAIMP. There you'd be able to sign up for the outline, showing the different types of income streams that you can add right now to your practice. In addition to the outline, I'll also throw in another bonus. I'll email you a cheat sheet that outlines the steps for getting started on your first ebook. It's really extremely easy, and it's a great opportunity for you to leverage your expertise, for you to expand your influence and to grow your income. So it's been a pleasure talking with you today. I wish you success in your practice and in your career, because there's so many opportunities out there, and I know that just adding a few of these can make a world of difference. Also, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. We have a Physician Coach Understanding the Business of Medicine group on LinkedIn where we can also continue this discussion, and we'd be glad to have you join me there. Or you can always email me at info@physiciancoach.guru, and I look forward to connecting with some of you and helping you move forward in your practice and in your career.
Dr. Burton, such great information. I took some notes, and I will also be going to physiciancoach.guru/NAIMP to sign up and get the notes from the presentation. If you're listening to this on iTunes, you can watch the entire webinar on naimp.org, and we encourage you to listen to the other webinars and podcasts from our experts every week here at naimp.org. So Dr. Burton, thanks again for a wonderful webinar.
It's been a pleasure, Shirley. I'm glad we could help your listeners to increase their income and to really find ways to improve their practice setting.
Absolutely. Some great ideas, and I hope some will look for more information from you. So listeners, thank you for coming to the webinar and podcast, and we look forward to talking to you again soon.